Welcome to Elevate the Game, where DFW's top leaders drop gems on success, strategy, and legacy with your hosts Jorge Abreu and Eric Badiwala. Let's get into it.
Today, I'm joined by Kevin Haughey, a senior leader in telecommunications with deep experience managing large-scale infrastructure projects across the U.S. He's led 200-plus concurrent projects, overseeing more than $100 million in CapEx, and brings a strong operator's perspective on how strategy, execution, and capital efficiency drive long-term results. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yep. So let's dive right into it, right? Can you give us a quick snapshot of your business and what you're doing right now?
Now, a lot of people on telecom, I'm involved in the BEAD program deployments, a lot of fiber to the home stuff, a lot of middle mile, and a little bit of backbone, primarily focused in Texas and covering most of the Texas area.
All right. What got you into that?
Into telecom, into this program. Into telecom, it was actually the markets in 2009. I came from conventional commercial construction. As anybody that survived that period knows, pretty massive shift in capital deployment around then. Had a lot of field and engineering experience, and telecom was running into its phase in the 4G growth era. Telecom has primarily been driven by the secondary market, meaning it's not what people buy, they buy it to facilitate something else. So like 4G, LTE, 5G rollouts were driven by app adoption or adoption. And fiber deployment has been driven by not necessarily people want fiber, they want the things that fiber can bring them. Faster speeds for their business and the office and interconnects with data centers and now obviously fiber to the home. So that's kind of what got into telecom. Into this program itself, like I said, fiber telecom runs in phases. Historically, the wireless mobile network operators, MNOs, have run the G phases, and the G phases drive a tremendous amount of the build out, both long haul, middle mile, and last mile. But the market changed fairly dynamically in 2020. A lot of the market was building at the MNO phases, and then that subsidizes the operators, the tier one, CLECs and LECs, to build out to business towers. That's changed fairly drastically. So right now, the big pivot in telecom has been twofold. One, the BEAD deployments and fiber to the home, and then secondarily, people ramping up for the level 3 build out of the Internet 3 is what they're calling it. Building out to feed all these data centers that I'm sure you've heard all about for facilitating AI, et cetera.
Got it. So I take it there's quite a bit of competition in this space. What would you say sets you guys apart from your competition?
The biggest differentiator from the competition is not getting lost in the administration of the activity. A lot of the companies have gotten so large that the focus becomes not that you should lose focus of shareholder value creation or private equity value creation, because it is extremely financially competitive and extremely capital intensive. But they get so lost in the administration of the process that they lose sight of the execution of the process. So I'd say the biggest differentiator is the focus on the execution and then the concentration of the quality of the folks involved in the system.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I mean, without the execution, what does all the admin stuff matter, I guess?
Yeah. In general, we've gotten separated from the creation of value, which has been problematic for a lot of businesses. Jack Welch kind of took Taylorism to an extreme and has kind of propagated. It seems to be rolling back now, which is good. Glad to see that. But it can be quite distracting and quite cumbersome, actually.
What's maybe one tip you give somebody that's trying to maybe scale their business or just get to the next level of their career? What's one tip you would give them?
For business or
Yeah.
for career, the two major keystones: never stop learning, ever. Especially in telecommunications and technology. The attrition rate is very high. The new information rate is very high. About the time that you master a technology, it becomes obsolete. You have to continuously learn 20 minutes a day. It has to be a habit. The second thing is your network. It's the most powerful thing other than your understanding. Is actually probably more than your understanding is your network. Your reputation, who you know, and where they occupy. You don't have to know everything. You just have to know who to call. And as dynamic as technology and telecommunications are, having a very, very strong network for both understanding and leverage and latitude, it's irreplaceable.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on both those points. Can you maybe give us what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome throughout the years?
Uh, Probably just the dynamic nature of the industry. Like I said, it kind of runs and booms and busts. When you're in the middle of a G cycle or a massive deployment situation, it's all hands on deck, and you cannot acquire or train people fast enough. You can't get enough materials fast enough. Since 2020, getting chips for components has become a significant challenge.
Mhm.
But then there's also massive busts in telecom, where it's everybody holds their breath for a year. I would say that's probably the most significant challenge in this industry that I've faced.
How were you able to overcome that?
Working very, very hard, having an excellent reputation and a very strong network. Having a great reputation allows you to, when the herd is called, it gives you a much larger possibility of finding somewhere to land. And then working, like I said, very, very hard. Pay attention, know that they come, and when they come, get your ear to the ground, start leveraging your network.
Makes sense. So it sounds like you've been working pretty hard on the business. There's a lot of other business owners and professionals that kind of looking towards the future and how they can create some passive income to enhance or even at some point replace that active income. Do you have any thoughts about that? Have you made any investments outside of the business?
Yeah, actually, I'm working with five, six different startups right now
Oh, wow.
within telecom and without telecom. Most of them are AI centric. Most of them are workflow enablement. And then some of them are data centric stuff. So one of the programs is called WAPA, which I think we're going to rebrand to AHA. It is a global logistics solution. We've taken all the data that we can scrape from the entire global transportation system, the intermodal transportation system, shipping, trains, planes, last mile cargo vans, etc. Collected it into a singular data lake and are looking to be able to produce predictives for folks that are looking to ship from country to country or continent to continent, whether it's B2B, B2C, C2C, so they can have a better idea of what the liabilities are, what the costs are, and what the time is. And that's going actually very, very well. The predictives are up and running. Also working in the fintech sector, private family offices, working on some software solutions for those folks, and then the digitization of high-end professionals. So come across several solutions or situations where right now we have a massive amount of folks getting ready to leave the workforce generationally, both the baby boomers and Gen X. And when those folks leave, there's going to be a massive information and understanding gap. So the idea is, as the Chinese say, every time a senior person dies, a library burns to the ground. So the idea is to capture some of those really high level SMEs understandings and try and digitize that. So a lot of challenges in that one. Automating and creating passive cash flow in telecommunications would be very, very hard. It's a thin margin, high demand, high intensity industry. Biggest opportunities are probably going to be in data centers, but again, not passive. It's going to be an automation of maintenance and automation of deployments, automation of monitoring. Or I would say would probably be the biggest opportunities for anything resembling passive cash flow. But the rest of telecom is high intensity, and it's there's no passive anything.
Yeah, pretty active.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I was going to say with these others being startups, I take it's not so much of a cash flow type play, more on the possible exit. Is that kind of,
yeah, it's participation and exit.
yeah.
So for the listeners, if folks think they're going to get wealthy and buy Lambos and mansions with a job, It's not likely. The real upside is upside. So if you really want to change your life financially, generationally, start a company, work your butt off, or participate with a bunch of other folks that you really believe in. And when I say participate, I mean get ownership. Don't go into the company looking for $300,000 a year. You're not going to get it.
Yeah.
But you can go in on 10%, 20%, 30% equity position. You are going to work very hard for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, but you can exit with a significant, what they call liquidity event, and really change the or the future of yourself and your family.
Yeah. Then you can take some of that money and try to create some passive
And
income.
the next venture. That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. But to
Yeah.
get from job to investor to actual capitalist, liquidity events like participation in startups or working your butt off as an entrepreneur, or just grinding it out. There's a lot of folks, there's a story of the janitor that invested diligently his entire career and has retired very, very well. They're all possible, but expecting a job to get you to an excellent retirement is just, it's not realistic.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, so as we're kind of wrapping up the interview, I usually ask the guests here, so any exciting plans or initiatives you have in the next, say, 6 to 12 months?
I'm starting a fraternity for men and really starting to get some steam on that, working on the third of 4 books. Uh, got the other 2 done, about 250 pages each. I see a lot of challenges coming forward with the rollout of AI. I'm sure you've talked to other folks that have talked about UBI, and some folks even talk about universal high income.
Hmm.
But with that is going to come a crisis of purpose. And I'm looking to address that head on, not only address that head on, but support families and communities in a way that I think men have advocated their role in doing so. And that's out of all the projects that I'm working on, I think that's probably the one I'm the most excited about, most interested in.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love that. That makes sense. Okay, so if somebody listening would like to get a hold of you, what's the best way to reach out to you or connect with you?
Uh, I'm on LinkedIn. Kevin Hoy at LinkedIn is probably the easiest way for this crowd to get a hold of me. DM me there, and we'll go from there.
Awesome, awesome. Kevin, thank you very much for sharing your insights and tips with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thanks for listening to Elevate the Game. If you're a mover and shaker in DFW with game to share, apply to be a guest at elevatethegamepodcast.com/guest.